All right, guys, we are live. This is the Browns post game show. First place in the AFC North edition after conquering the mighty Baltimore Ravens. That my dad, who I'm joined with right now at Brandy Postgame, was live at the game. Dad, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Oh God, I got a lot of thoughts. I had all day to write down my notes and whatnot. But
Mhm.
let me say first, congrats to you for yesterday, and you and Mike. The show got 2,370 up to 70 views so far. So you did a great
Yep.
job, and we're off to a good start. I started the day off by looking at the talking heads on TV.
Mhm.
Wanted to see what they were going to say, what kind of spin they were going to put on it. And I only looked at really the 9 o'clock starts on three of the main channels, and one of them had Rex Ryan on it. So he was very complimentary about the Browns in general, and in that particular segment, he didn't say anything about Baker. All his comments were about the team and this and that and the other thing. And his he had one comment that really summed it up totally,
Mhm.
and he said it was the most significant win by any team this year. So that was pretty good, and
I
it
think
was
I
a
would agree with that.
team effort. I heard a little bit later on during the day that he did acknowledge that Baker had a good game, so he did at some point say something. But the rest of them, eh, they all said the same thing. It quieted all the critics. They all indicated that it was a team effort, complete. Chubb was good, Baker was good. Odell didn't play a direct factor, but he was in there. And Landry played great and had a good team, and the defense played great. So
Yeah.
they were all complimentary, and we're back on track. They're talking about being first in the division and so forth. As far as the game yesterday being there, let me first compliment the Ravens fans and my host, Steve Sullivan, who took me. He's a season ticket holder. It was the way good sportsmanship should be, a good example for everybody from Little League all the way up to the pros, in terms of how you treat guests in your house and how you don't take it so seriously that you spill beers and insults and so forth at people. I was, fist pumping, finger pumping with the Brown or with the Ravens fans around me, and I was the only Browns fan in a section about 200 as far as I can see from side to side, front and back. Um, and I hope that the Browns fans do a similar favor to the Ravens fans when they come to Cleveland I think it's in December, that they treat them like I was treated there at the game. So that that was it was a great experience from start to finish. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and obviously was at the expense of my host, who was um, he was in the downer mode most of the day because the Browns got off to a first fast start.
Mhm.
They didn't get the first drive going, but when they got the ball back, they scored, and they never trailed throughout the entire game. They never trailed. So, um, what do I want to talk about?
Well, I can certainly appreciate that the Ravens fans were being nice to you. It's always good when you go into rival enemy territory, so to speak, and if the people around you are nice, it's always just kind of like a good you have a good experience. These tickets, they're not cheap, you know.
No, no, he had special tickets too. I mean, he was a season holder, with a medallion, and so he got certain privileges that other people didn't get. And
Mhm.
I got comments by two people saying, "Why are you wearing that medallion in a Baker jersey? That they don't go together." So I said, "Well, it's because of my guest over here. I mean, I'm his guest, my
Yeah.
host over here." So it was. It was very nice. It was a pleasant experience from start to finish. Made it great that we won, and we won so convincingly. And I got nervous a couple of times during the game when the momentum started to shift and the crowd was very noisy. Um, but every time they scored, and got close to us, we somehow found a way to answer. So for me, it was a defining game. It reset the season. We're we're back to where we were at the beginning of the year. So as far as other things, talk about areas for room for improvement. Where Freddie said in his post game, "Hey, it's one game. We got room for improvement." Um, I thought the play calling, first and 5, first, goal to go. A couple of them, I didn't think were very creative, very good. So I think we can get a little bit better there. Um, and also applies to 2-point conversions. We didn't do well on that 2-point conversion. It just wasn't creative enough.
Yeah.
You think you would have special plays, designs, almost like the one where Landry threw to Baker last year, where we got the one lone 2-point conversion that tied the game. There's got to be a little bit more misdirection, a little bit more pizzazz in those.
You know what
For
I'd
my
like to
take,
see?
anyway.
You know what I'd like to see in 2-point conversion plays is those the same way that Cooper Cup beat us last game. Just running your guys out, waiting, and Ricky Seals got the touchdown where he just kind of curved over,
Right,
and
right,
it's almost like for that touchdown play they used the same play from the Rams because he caught
right.
that same pass.
Well, you can go on to a lot of the college games. You can look at all the programs that were this past Sunday, the Sunday before. Look at all the short plays, 2-point
Yeah,
conversions. Look at all the ones that were successful and how successful guys walking into the end zone or wide open, not covering a tight end, misdirection, whatever, and adopt a couple of those and practice them, practice them, practice them, and then take them out on the field when you need them. The other thing I thought was not good was towards the end of the game. I don't think he managed, meaning Freddie Kitchen, managed the clock very well. And from what I mean there, about 8 minutes to go in the game, he was still throwing the ball. I think 3rd and 6 with less than 8 minutes, and we may have been inside field goal range. He throws an out to Beckham or Land, probably not Landry. He was probably out of the game. Through to Beckham. I mean, if the guy steps in front of it, he picks it off and goes 80 yards, or he gets tipped, whatever. And if it's incomplete, it stops the clock. The clock is your friend, and he did it not only once, but he did it one other time as
yeah.
well. So I don't think that under 8 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it is, that he managed the clock very well. The clock is your friend when you're up by 2 touchdowns, even though it's two. It was 2 scores. It wasn't 3 scores. It was 2 scores, 8-point scores, which is difficult to do. And you got the ball, and there's less than 8 minutes. Why do you want to potentially stop running the ball, and then you kick the field goal, and then you go up by 3 scores? I mean,
But you know what? You know what? I had a question.
Mhm.
We won the coin toss and didn't defer. We took the ball.
Well,
I thought that
that's
was
an
so weird.
well. Remember, I told you that we would have the wind at our back in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Well, we went against the wind, then with the wind, and then I thought we would go against the wind and with the wind. That that turned out not to be the case, and I'm thinking, why would they? Why would that? So we won the toss, and
and
we
selected to receive.
all right. Well, that's why they got the wind in the fourth quarter, which was a non-factor.
But it could
By
have been.
getting, hmm?
But it could have been.
Oh yeah, it definitely could have been. That surprise. I didn't know we won the coin toss and deferred. That was, or took the ball.
Yeah.
I thought that was
That when they said that the first thing they're like the Browns have made a very uncommon decision to receive the kick after winning the coin toss. It's a very unorthodox decision that they had. Um,
wow.
yeah, very annoying, very odd.
Yeah. So, other than that, as far as things to improve, not much else. Um, Third down conversions, we didn't do well. We were, I'll talk a little bit about that later. But the other thing that still continues to concern me and still bothers me is, in terms of room for improvement or decision making, is catching the ball on the kickoff right at the
Yeah.
goal line or 1 yard deep, or even if you're in the end zone, letting it bounce on the 1 yard, receiving it in the end zone and taking a knee. You get it automatically on the 25-yard line with no chance of a fumble, no chance of a penalty. I mean, just take it on the 25. If it's short at the 10 and you got to come out of the end zone and catch it on the run, that's even better, because you got a running start and you got a chance to get beyond the 25, at a minimum the 20 and 25. So they had Taylor back there taking the kickoffs. They didn't have Landry. Landry
Right.
was there for the punts, but he wasn't there for the kickoffs. So I don't know if I blame Taylor, but I sort of put it on the coaching staff to educate those guys. There's nothing wrong with the ball at the 25-yard line to start a game like that.
Yeah.
So that's my talking points as far as room for improvement. As far as the game plan, and my 5 things that I evaluate the Browns on,
Hmm.
the game plan was balanced. We had almost as many passes as runs, so we weren't heavy one way or the other. Our penalties were minimal. We had 1 turnover versus 4 turnovers for them,
Hmm.
so that was significant. Our kicking game was good. Our special teams play was very good. Third down conversions, though, pretty average, 6 of 13 on third down. So
Yeah.
we gotta do better. The Ravens were 4 for 10. They were, and they weren't running the ball early. I kept looking up at the scoreboard and looking at the stats, and they had minimal yardage on running plays. And the 1 or 2 big ones they had was Jackson, breaking out of the pocket, trying to pass it first, and then going from there. So as far as my key things, we did well in just about every category. There was nothing that was really bad. I think one of the key plays that was overlooked in all the stuff that I heard you guys talk about, because I watched the whole post game show after I got home,
Hmm.
and I watched the last part of the game. We left after the field goal
Okay.
that put us up, I think 33-18,
Okay.
and we wanted to try to get early out of the parking lot, which the Ravens fans beat us. they were leaving much earlier, and they clogged everything up. But we had a good time walking. We had to walk 3 blocks to get to the parking lot. But one of the key plays that I thought was overlooked was when, on a third down, I think it was, Jackson threw, after he was in the pocket for a second or two, threw a deep throw to the sidelines, and the guy caught the ball, but he stepped out of bounds.
Yeah.
And
Did you see that live? Like,
yeah,
what was your
yeah,
thought? Did you think that he was out of bounds? I saw it on TV, and I was sitting there with my wife, with Lindsay, and I was like, I don't think he caught that. I think his foot was at the camera was showing it from the opposite side, so it wasn't close to us. It was far, but I was like, it still looked like his foot might have been on the white line.
right. And but he was wide open. That's my point in terms of the
Yeah.
play.
How did he get
He
that? How did he get that open?
I don't know. I didn't have a chance to look at it today in reviewing the film, but there was nobody within 10 yards of him, and he caught it. He turned, went down the sidelines for another, I don't know, 12 yards or so, but the referee on the sideline was the guy behind him, not the guy in front of him. The guy behind him was running towards him as he was going down the sideline, waving his arms like uh, he was not out of bounds, but maybe he was out of bounds from when he took his first step. So he was saying that the pass was completed, but he didn't get the extra 12 yards. He wasn't entitled to the extra 12 yards. Well, then they had enough time to review it in the booth,
Mhm.
and it was clear his half of his front foot was on the line when he caught the ball and came
Yeah,
down and
they
turned.
showed it. They
So
showed it as they were going to commercial for the review, I think Freddie threw the flag the second the guy caught it, because when they showed it right before it, they were like, it's 100% clear. It's going to be overturned. And I ran downstairs to get something to drink. I'm like, I'm not even worried about this one. Like, if they don't make this one, then
and they showed it on the Fantron a couple of times. So when it was announced, there wasn't a huge reaction.
Yeah.
The people knew that it was going to be called back. But if he makes that pass and he gets the extra 12 yards, they're on the inside the 20, and they're within a score of tying the game or getting it really, really close. It was a momentum changing type of play that didn't happen, that to our benefit, because for whatever reason, the receiver got too close to the sidelines. He could have caught the ball, a yard or two inside of that, because there was nobody near him. He was so wide open. Why? Now, of course, the pass was towards the sideline. Maybe he felt he had to go there, but these guys are so good at just tapping their toes when they catch the ball, especially if they're not under duress. There should be no reason. So that was a major mistake by that guy.
Yeah. I think I don't know if he just lost his concentration or he was so open that he didn't expect it. And he was just focusing so much on catching the ball than anything else. Sometimes they say this, and I remember when I played sports, like the easy ones oftentimes were difficult to do because they were so easy, and you get wrapped up in your head about like, okay, I know what I'm doing here, blah blah blah. When you have the quicker ones, then your natural athletic ability comes into play, and you make it. It's like Odell. There were some other Browns players. Like Braylon Edwards and Greg Little used to make the really hard catches, but then the easy ones, it would be stone hands. It would drop, they drop those. So I think Beckham pretty much catches everything. So that was a bad example. So Odell, if you're watching, I don't mean to offend. But the other guys, we've certainly had a fair share of like receiver problems in Cleveland. And that one just struck me as the guy just wasn't concentrating.
Right.
Period.
Right. The other thing, the last points on the review of the game, the defense played very, very good. The secondary, for not having your first string in there, they played excellent. It's great to know that you have those backups coming in, giving our guys a rest when we do get our starters back and that type of thing.
Excellent job.
We got a solid backup crew there.
Yeah.
Schobert was the second unsung hero of the game, I think. Chubb first, and then Schobert. He had 17 tackles. 9 of them were solo, and including a sack. Whitehead 8. He was in on 8 tackles. Carrier had 7. Wilson had 7. I mean, those guys played really well. So it was across the board, a solid effort. The kind of thing we were expecting from against the Titans that never materialized.
Wow. And
I'm glad we showed the world that one, we can come back, and certainly we can play at that level. And the sky's the limit going forward. So I'll finish up with like a preamble on the 49ers, but I'll turn it back to you, Mike, and maybe react to some of the chat that's out there.
Yeah, looking at the guys in chat, I want to welcome everybody. We got some of the regulars. So Browns fan 1977, Jeremy Betrand, Sandman Huffmaster's here, Jeff Santiago, Phil G, Kyle Liu, X-Men Avenger. Some of our regular guys are here. I want to say thank you everybody for coming and listening and watching our post-game show, brought to you as always by Homage and homage.com. Go ahead and buy some stuff over there. Tell them we sent you, and use the promo code Brownie. Save yourself 15% at checkout. A couple things that were really interesting. If I'm looking at I did look at that stat line for Joe Schobert as well, and that actually stood out to me. I thought that was very interesting. And he is currently tied for 4th in the league in tackles. So he's putting up a Pro Bowl type season.
Absolutely.
Schobert. And Myles Garrett is second in the NFL in sacks. Rushing, Nick Chubb is 4th, but really close. I mean, McCaffrey's got 411 yards. Cook's got 410. Leonard Fournette, 404. And then Nick Chubb, 398. So if we just wouldn't have a couple of those penalties that got called back on Nick Chubb, he'd be leading the league in rushing. Receiving yards, we're not there in receiving yards. We're not there in interceptions. We're not there in passing yards. I want to see where Baker is on the list right now. I mean, he had a pretty decent game. So he is, in terms of passing yards, Baker's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in passing yards. In touchdowns, Baker is tied. I believe, how many does he have? Actually, he's pretty far. He only has 4 touchdowns in the season, so that's not doing good just yet. But I think Baker's gonna do. I think he's on the upswing right now. His completion percentage 59%. That's gonna come up. So I think definitely have a lot to build upon right now. I'm really excited. I woke up this morning on cloud nine. I got up at 6 a.m. I went to the gym. I watched all my typical Browns guys. So I watched, Quincy Carrier had a video about his reaction. I watched the barbershop as well. I got Garrett Bush's reaction, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful victory Monday.
Yeah. What an opposite feeling of waking up after the Titans game. I mean,
yeah,
such a downer, that opener, and then to come back and put all the naysayers, on their heels, and the people who jumped off the bandwagon, they're maybe they're back, maybe they're not. But
let me ask you this. If we would have came out like let's say today's game against the Titans was, let's say the scores were flipped. So today's the game against the Ravens, we had against the Titans first game. We come out, score 40 points. Then we come and beat the Jets.
Right.
So now we're 2-0. Then we lose in a close one to the Rams, and then get blown out like the Titans did to us because we're replacing those, and the Ravens at home blew us away.
Yeah.
How do you feel better or worse about the season?
Probably worse,
Yeah.
knowing that we should have played better against the Ravens. They're the competition. They're the division. Looking back, they didn't beat anybody really well to get the accolades that they got for their 2 wins. So they were a little bit of a false pretenders there, and it was up to us to prove that we were good. So I like our position now. 2020 hindsight. Obviously, we could have played better against the Titans. That was not a very good opener. I mean, again, I go back to the 3 H's: humble, hungry, healthy, and we were all 3 of those going into game 1. Got banged up a little bit. We got humbled by that game.
Yes, so very much so.
We came out against the Jets and the Rams, as well as Baltimore, in a humble type of setting. We weren't cocky. We weren't strutting. We had been humbled by that first game. We weren't healthy now either. Going in, we lose 5 starters for the Ravens game, 5, and but we were hungry and we were dedicated, and Kitchens had a good game plan, good execution. I'll go back to that first play of the game. Sitting in the end zone, they're right in front of us at the 10-yard line, I think it was, and they try to throw that quick slant to Beckham.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it again, maybe when I got home, and said, I just thought that could have been a key play to come back to later in the game with a slight adjustment. And my take on it was, if Baker had Robinson did not block that guy on the lineman coming in. He set up outside of him, and for some reason, Robinson totally ignored him and blocked inside with the guard on the one guy. So he's got a free ride right in Baker's face.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes in and he puts his hands up first, and then he jumps. And when he jumped is when he saw Baker trying to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
If Baker had just faked the throw and
pumped it,
he's up in the air. He can't change directions. Baker just slides to his left ever so slightly, And if Odell, if they had it pre-planned to do that type of thing, and if Odell had just done a stop and go, the safety was in the middle of the field going to the right side because of the fake to Chubb with the run
Mm-hmm.
before he threw it. He would have been open for a touchdown by 15 or 20 yards.
So I wonder if that might be something that's in the mix later on, because
Yeah.
we haven't done one of those a run pass option where we pump it and then throw
Then
it deep.
go.
Yeah, no
Right.
no pumping goes yet, and
Right.
I think a lot of it is just getting down that fundamental of just being able to strike.
But why Robinson didn't even put a shoulder on him, made no attempt to get in front of him, and the pass. I mean, that could have been a game changer too, because the defense was right up on Odell.
Yeah.
I mean, if he steps in front of that, he walks into the end zone 15 yards for a touchdown,
Yeah.
untouched.
Well,
And
it
it
was
would have been a pick six on the first play of the game. How demoralizing would that have been?
that would have been amazing. On a whole lot of levels. It was funny. The guy that you privately sent me that tweet from the Levitard show, where the guy Michael Ryan Ruiz was talking about the Browns, and he was talking about what was going on with there, and he was saying that Odell might not have gotten many touches in the game, but he drew so many important. He drew the safeties off. He drew double coverage. He opened up Jarvis. He opened up Ricky Seals. I mean, it was like they weren't even paying attention to Ricky Seals.
Right. And the other thing was on that the option play where Landry came through the backfield and Baker flipped in the ball and they went around the end.
Yeah.
And he held the ball out because Odell was outside of him.
Yep.
And there was a defender outside.
And he bit on that.
And he bid on it. He held the ball out there like he was going to flip it to him, like another lateral. And that gave him just the fraction of a second he needed to split those two defenders and go. And Odell stayed with him the entire time and actually got his hands on the guy that knocked him out of bounds.
Yeah, and so I went back and watched that a couple times today because I put together a new highlight video, and obviously that was in it. So I put together a highlight video of the first 4 games of the season. So anybody who's here is watching or is going to watch, go and check out the Browns highlights for Q1, which is like the first 4 games, right? So that's the newest one that I did, playing to Muse's Uprising song. So it's Browns Uprising. But so I was watching that, and it looked like at the end of the play, OBJ actually pushed the guy, and it to be honest, it looked like he pushed him in the back.
Yeah.
Which
he was definitely behind him. So
go back and look at that. That could have
been called. And I thought it was a touchdown. He hit the pylon. He was in. We got a bad mark on that.
Well, so that was actually not a bad mark. I thought so too. I was like, give him the touchdown. But so when he actually tackled him, he slid him. He actually slid him to out of bounds, and then what they were saying on TV about that is it's not about it's where the ball goes out of bounds. So it's not about if you get it over the line. If the ball doesn't go, if you go out of bounds with the ball, it's where the ball goes out of bounds. And that actually came back again the second time when Jarvis caught that pass, ran out of bounds on the left side, and then we got a bad spot on that.
Right.
Really bad spot.
That was in my part of the end zone. So I got a first-hand look, even though we're several rows back. But I thought we were going to win that spot. No, they played it back on the Videotron and whatnot. It looked like he had whatever it was, the 12-yard line or the 2-yard line, whatever it was he needed, and we didn't get it. But luckily, did we go fourth down to get it? Was that a third down? But I think we got a touchdown out of that.
I think so too. I got to go back. My timeline's a little bit messed up. But yeah, that was a fruitful drive. I was also talking with Mike Restano yesterday about the fact that with like six or 7 minutes left in the game, the Ravens went for that fourth down or deep in their territory, and this must have been right before you guys took off at the end of the game. So they went for it where I think they were down 2 scores. but it didn't necessarily have to go for it at that point.
Right.
But and then when they gave it to us and we made the kick, and so when you watch Freddie Kitchens, when his speech to the team, the victory speech in the locker room, the last thing he says is like, "Good job, kicker," and he gave Siebert a hug because he knew that kick was the thing that was the cherry on top. That ended the game.
We left. We left as soon as he hit that. I knew that they would not come back. Yet, when you told me in the car that he threw 2 interceptions, and I'm thinking, wait a second, how many possessions did they have after we left?
3.
They had 3.
Yeah,
they had 3, and one of them could have been a touchdown if he makes that bomb. Now, do we give him that easy touchdown at the end of the game? Probably not. We played tougher, that type of thing. But,
totally. But stranger things have happened.
Oh, sure.
So, and I mean, if we whiffed on that, and I think that's one thing that Freddie's going to have to look at, because that's 2 big plays that we've given up to the left side, running up the field, the Derrick Henry one, and then the Willie Snead one. So we're vulnerable.
I couldn't see who missed the initial tackle on him that set him free. One of the linebackers, I think, had a shot at him, missed him, and then he went down the sidelines, and our 2 guys, the safety and the corner couldn't catch him.
Yeah,
he was off to the races. But again, 30 seconds to go in the game, it was over. So.
Hey, Max Nikolenko says, "Go Browns." Max, I do still have the starting lineup. I didn't make it to the post office today. I'm traveling tomorrow, but I promise you, on my way to the airport, this thing's going in the mail. You're good. Trust me, you're gonna get your prize 100%. This is why I like doing the homage giveaways, because they do all the shipping for me. I just tell them, like, here's the T-shirt that they selected, and here's the address and the name, and they do all the shipping for me. When I actually have to go to the UPS store, which is a pain in the butt in my area to get to, that's when I'm like, it'll take me a little while to get there. So, Max, do not worry. You're definitely getting your Bernie Kosar starting lineup. Thank you very much for coming. Again, I apologize I didn't make it out today to ship that out to you.
For those who care, the Steelers are beating the Bengals 10-3 at halftime. So the Bengals, I picked them in my pick'em for an upset of the Steelers, even though it's a home game for the Steelers. Team can't play that badly that many weeks in a row. Dalton's got to have something in him, and I'm hoping that he's got a second half in him that he can, overtake a 10-3 deficit. But looks like if he doesn't, obviously Pittsburgh gets their first win.
What's the live score on that one?
10-3, Pittsburgh.
How much game?
They just started the third quarter.
Okay, I'm also looking at San Francisco, because obviously we have to think forward to San Francisco on Monday. So another primetime game for the Browns. So far, the 49ers handedly beat the Buccaneers. They absolutely demolished the Bengals 41-17.
Right.
They got past the Steelers.
Right.
And now they face the Browns. So they got past the Steelers at home, and they beat the Bengals in Cincinnati. They beat Tampa in Tampa.
For a 3-0 team, I went back like you, Mike, and I looked at the 3 games. And I looked at them from 5 different perspectives. My first thought is they are beatable. They are not a 3-0 Patriots type
Chiefs.
Of team, or Chiefs. They are beatable. They got through some very weak opponents in their first 3 games.
Similarly to the Ravens.
Right. Very similar. So they are beatable. So we go into this game knowing we got a good game behind us, and knowing that these guys, even though they're 3-0 and a home game, they're beatable. Now, that's not to take too much away from Garofalo, because when he's hot, and they could have their breakout game against us. But I'm just saying that we don't go in there with a thought of being half a chance of winning. No, we got a real good chance of winning. They beat Tampa Bay in their first game. And everybody's 0-0 at that point, but third downs, they were 5 of 13 against Tampa in that game. They rushed only for 98 yards, on 32 carries.
Mm-hmm.
They had 11 penalties for 87 yards. They had 2 turnovers, whereas Tampa Bay had 4 turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
So that was to their advantage. And their special teams scored 4 times. And Tampa Bay scored 2 times. So it wasn't Garofalo.
Their special team scored 4 times. Wait, what did their special? You mean like field goals and everything? You counting that?
No, I'm talking about interceptions, fumbles returned, that type of thing.
Oh my
They
God.
had 4 of them, according to the stats sheet that I.
Well,
that
I'm
I
looking.
looked at
I'm
today.
looking at the passing leaders right now in the NFL,
Mhm.
and Garoppolo is below. Well, he's only played 3 games, right? But
Right.
I mean, at this point, Dalton had only played 3 games as well, and he's well below Dalton. Jimmy Garoppolo's big thing is a completion percentage. He's 69% completion percentage. He's throwing a lot of dink and dump passes that are being completed.
Well, he had a big game against. Well, I shouldn't say he had a big game against. Against Cincy. They had a big game. They won the Cincy game. Of course, they're playing terrible. The third down efficiency was 5 of 9, but they rushed the ball very well. 259 yards rushing against Cincinnati, but they had 9 penalties. 9 penalties for 75 yards. 1 turnover for them. 1 turnover for Cincinnati, and no defensive scoring at all. So then they go on to play Pittsburgh, which is 0-2, and they don't have Roethlisberger, so they're down to their their backup quarterback. Third down, 6 of 11 on third downs. They rushed the ball fairly well, 168 yards on 40 carries. So they had the same game plan that they used against Cincinnati. They brought it back against Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
They had 5 penalties. Pittsburgh had 6 penalties. But they turned the ball over, according again to the stat sheet, 5 times, and Pittsburgh turned it over 2 times, and they still won the game. The time of possession, they killed them in time of possession. They had it like 36 minutes, and Pittsburgh only had it like 23 minutes. So they beat some very, very weak competition. They should have been, and probably were, favored to win all of those games. So it'll be interesting to see what the line is on when we're driving to the game with my friend who is the Ravens fan. He was saying, "I can't believe we're 7-point favorites.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're 7-point. This is going to be a very close game. I would not be giving 7 points in betting against the Browns." And the other comment was, I'm walking out of the stadium, and this Ravens fan comes up next to me and said, "That's what I was afraid of, that the Browns were going to show up, and I was just hoping it wasn't going to be against us and that we were going to get by them. But I knew they had a talented team, and they showed up today, and we didn't." And so I thought that was a telling comment as well. So it'll be interesting to see what the 49er line is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that with the Ravens game, I think the annoying thing going into the game was how the national media and everybody was piling on Lamar Jackson. He's going to be, as Mike Rostano said, he's reinventing the position. And, is him and Pat Mahomes going to be the two Manning Brady of the future generation? Everybody gave Lamar Jackson so much. And my whole thought all along is he's Michael Vick without the ability to pass. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you put Lamar Jackson in a situation where he's got to come from behind and throw the ball, you are in a significantly better position than if they're winning the game and he can just continue to run. So by us getting ahead, it forced them out of their comfort zone and made Lamar have to be a NFL passer. And unfortunately, at this stage of his career, he just isn't. I look at his delivery, the way he throws the ball with that kind of sidearm. He throws like Terrell Pryor used to throw in college. It's a very weird delivery. And I think he could be accurate up to about 15 yards. Beyond that, it's going to be really difficult. When you look so I went back and looked at all the highlights for the first 4 games, and I think I think personally the best pass that Baker Mayfield has thrown all season was on the opening drive against Tennessee when he threw like a 30-yard pass to Rashard Higgins on a rope, and
Right.
Rashard took it down to like the 3-yard line. I don't know if that was the play he got hurt on, but that was the best by far. I went back and watched that a few times. He fired that. And so when people say that Baker Mayfield doesn't have an arm, I think they're crazy.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be a mixture of Brett Favre and Drew Brees. That's what Baker Mayfield is. And
yeah.
I don't see that with Lamar Jackson at all. I see Lamar Jackson being a bad version of like a poor man's Michael Vick.
Yeah, and he obviously missed his tight end on the 4th down play where he stopped and he went deep, and Jackson threw a sideline pass. He thought he was going to break to the outside, and you saw the guy come over and slam his helmet down, like saying, come on, guys, we're better than that. I mean, it was obviously a blown, and Jackson. Then he went up and he apologized to him too afterwards, the tight end. He didn't want to show him up too badly. But the other observation I would make, and I made it to my friend who was sitting next to me during the game, is when they got behind and the time was starting to run down in that 10-minute to 8-minute category, and they still had a chance within 2 scores to tie the game, there was no sense of urgency. I did not see
from the Ravens.
They were not in a 2-minute drill. I mean, the clock is your enemy as opposed to your friend. And those guys did not move with a sense of urgency, and they had to get 2 scores. It was one thing if you want to, ease your way down there for 1 score, even if you have to, do a 2-point conversion. But when you're down two scores and two-point conversions, you got to be on that line as quickly as you can. And Jackson didn't have that sense of urgency. And I said that to my friend, and he said, yeah, it doesn't. They're not playing with that sense of urgency. So it was a little bit telling that they were starting to give up, even when they had a chance to come back. They were giving up.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what the Ravens do next. Can the Ravens bounce back? Because this division is Browns versus Ravens at this point, with the Steelers being, let's say the Steelers are 1-3 and the Bengals are 0-4. The Bengals are done. They're out. Their season's over. They're not coming back.
I just checked the score. Now it's 17-3 Pittsburgh.
17-3. Okay, so Pittsburgh is opening up the lead there. And that's to be expected. The Bengals' only competition this season is the Miami Dolphins for who's going to be the worst team in the league. And I sincerely hope that it's the Dolphins, because I don't want to see Jake Fromm or the best quarterback going to the Bengals. I think that this division will only come down to the Browns versus Ravens. The Ravens are not the same Ravens team as they've had in the past. Their defense is we put 40. Can you remember? And I haven't gone back to look. I almost did it today, but I was like, I don't really want to sit there and look back through stats. That's not a fun thing for me. I'd rather make videos. But when was the last time we scored 40 points in a game? Right. And then, let alone, when was the last time we scored 40 points in a division game and won?
Well, they put up a stat on the TV that I saw when I was watching the replay after I got back, where we had a 5 in the second half. We had 5 starts where we had 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals. We scored 5 times in a row to take that lead and go on. We hadn't scored a point in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they showed that on TV that we were at the point when the Ravens scored the touchdown to open up the fourth quarter. So the Ravens ate up 6. It was at least 6 minutes, because they ate up a minute and a half out of the end of the third quarter. Mm-hmm. And then all of them, when they scored, it went down to 10 minutes left in the game. Right. So they ate up 6 minutes of possession, which the Browns did a great job in the first quarter. The first half, I should say, about time of possession. And I was telling Mike yesterday, it was a night and day game. First half of the game was that conservative, let's see what you got. We're both hitting each other in the mouth. Second half was, just guns out.
Right.
just blaring away. It was two completely different games.
Yeah, and
And
Baker got pretty good protection. He stepped up in the pocket and he threw, and you could just sense it with the crowd every time he threw one for 12 yards
Mhm.
or 15 yards down the middle, and the guy was wide open or he made a nice catch or whatever. The groans that would go out saying, "God, how could he be that wide open? How could he get him?"
well,
It's just
they're
how.
not used to bad defenses
Yeah, right.
in Baltimore.
Probably so.
They're used to
Yeah.
being able to play. I mean, if you think about it, even back in the Trent Dilfer days, when they were just managing football games, and then Flacco comes in afterwards. Flacco never lit it up from a passing perspective. He had a couple decent games where he did okay, but he wasn't. Joe Flacco was never considered a scary quarterback
Mhm.
by any means.
No,
He was a better, more
he managed.
consistent game manager. And that's
Yeah,
all you need when you have excellent top tier defenses. You just need that guy.
and good receivers. Steve Smith
Oh,
was a great receiver for him. So I mean, he had some talent around him, including the running game.
yeah.
So he had choices: run the ball, throw the ball, good protection, good defense.
The
So
Ravens have
that
always ran the ball well and always played amazing defense for the entire time they've been in existence.
right,
Right? So now Baltimore is now going through a trend. I think Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh are all going through this weird transitionary period where they don't have the Jerome Harrisons anymore. They don't have
right.
the Hines Ward, Antonio Brown. The Bengals have always been teetering with mediocrity anyway, so I'm not really concerned about the Bengals at this point. But the Ravens and Steelers are going through that transition period, and we have a plan. This is the whole thing. Trust the plan. The plan is in, and plan's all up in John Dorsey's head. He went into the season surgically to get young. Even so, we were talking about Ricky Seals. I was like, Ricky Seals is an old guy. No, Ricky
Right.
Seals, he's 24 years old.
Right. They said that on TV today too. Yeah.
He's the oldest 24-year-old I've ever seen. But
Mm.
he's 24 years old, and he steps in for Njoku. He can catch balls. He's basically a big, slow wide receiver, right?
Right.
But he can catch the ball, and that's all that matters. When Njoku comes back in a couple weeks, now we've got Ricky Seals. Now we have two different weapons that we know can catch the ball. And because I don't think Harris is going to be a long-term option for us, at least what we've seen so far. And so I think that what I'm concerned about going into San Francisco, I'm not concerned about Garofalo. I think one of the reasons why Myles Garrett didn't have a big game was because they double and triple teamed him and they didn't run anything at him. He never got near Lamar. That's why Olivier Vernon got his first sack. That's why the safety Whitehead got at Lamar, and Demarius got at Lamar because
Right.
they were clogging up the line. The Ravens' offensive line isn't terrible. It's
Yeah.
significantly,
And it was
I would say, better than ours.
Yeah, and it was a warm day. I mean, it was in the sun
Mm-hmm.
a good part of the game. The humidity was up, so it wasn't late October type of game. So I'm sure the guys were starting to feel it,
Yeah.
maybe cramping up a little bit towards the end of the game in the fourth quarter. But we held up. I mean, and I watched as the guys were coming in and out. They were, they gave up a big play. Two guys would come out and two guys would go in.
Mm-hmm.
So they were rotating, especially the defensive line. They were rotating quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, now looking forward to what we have, looking at our schedule and then looking so far at San Francisco, if we go and take a look at what our next couple weeks look like with our Brownies. I'm trying to pull up our schedule here. Okay. Can I get to our Brown schedule? All right. So we have San Francisco, ESPN, Monday night. Then we've got Seattle at home. That's the Sunday night, 1 o'clock game. Then we go into the bye. That's going to be so disappointing. It always bothered me when we had bye weeks because it's like Sundays are so exciting, and now the weird thing that we've had these primetime games. It's also like kind of ruins my weekend because it's like it's a game that's also on a work day, so
Right.
it's like it's not the
But
same
it gives
thing.
us one extra day to heal. So
It's true.
and travel. So it's certainly going to get our attention coming on the heels of this game. It's a national Monday night game. I mean, we've gotten a lot of notoriety over these first 4 games.
Yep.
And deservedly so. And Game 5 will be just as big for us. That's for sure.
I'm looking at the tickets right now. Tickets as low as $83, so you can still get tickets to the game, probably like StubHub or something like that. The New England game completely sold out. So after the bye week, when we're at New England, the lowest tickets currently on sale for New England are $275.
Wow.
So if people are excited, if we go in, if we could beat San Francisco, which is entirely possible, and to be honest, I think we could beat Seattle as well. I don't think Seattle's as dominant as they've been in the past. They don't have the defense they've had in the past. They've got a really weird offense. So I think Seattle's a beatable team as well. But let's say we get one of the two. Okay? Let's say we get one of the two. And if we play like we played against Baltimore, we certainly will. I think we've accomplished the early season goal. We'll be 3-3 going into the bye, and then after the New England game, it's soft time. It's at Denver, where we won last year, and Denver hasn't gotten any better. Buffalo at home. Buffalo is an interesting team. Then we've got Pittsburgh.
They lost their quarterback.
Did he? So I saw the helmet hit.
Yeah.
But how long is he out for?
He's in concussion protocol, so they don't know. Yeah. He didn't come back in the game. The backup, who I never heard of, finished the game. And they had the ball. Buffalo had the ball 1st and 10 on New England's 40-yard line with a minute and something to go in the game. So
with a chance to win.
And then they just self-destructed. I mean, they just 4 plays in a row. They moved it up from their 20 or 25-yard line to get a nice pass to the 40 and out of bounds, stop the clock. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching and I'm thinking, hey, why didn't they do better? They just self-destructed on 4 plays in a row. Trubinsky from Chicago, they think he has a separated shoulder.
Oh my God!
Another quarterback,
a young quarterback,
that's gone, and he'll be out for several weeks.
On the throwing shoulder?
I don't know.
Because that could be even more serious if there's stuff torn in there and all that stuff.
Other players, that tore an ACL, and I think Denver lost one of their key players. So they're injuries. So being healthy is key. And does anybody have an update on Jarvis Landry?
I don't think any reports have come out about Jarvis or about Sheldon Richardson. Sheldon Richardson left the game late with he was holding his arm, and something was going on with his arm or his wrist or something. Yeah. So Sheldon Richardson was beat up. Looking at Buffalo, their backup quarterback's Matt Barkley, who has been a pretty decent backup quarterback by all stretches there. So I think Matt Barkley is going to be, at this point, probably just as good as Josh Allen. I don't know who the Bears backup is. NFL. Let's take a look and see who is the Chicago Bears depth chart. And I'm just curious. Ooh. Chase Daniel is their backup quarterback. So the Bears at 3-1, first in the NFC North, are in. That's scary. That's the same thing like us. If we lost Baker, we'd be going to Garrett Gilbert, and we would be in scary town as well. So
Pittsburgh just scored again, 24-3. That game is over.
See ya. So I think, and you can't really judge Pittsburgh. You can't judge anything based off Cincinnati. You can't judge anything based off of Miami or probably even Arizona. So you can't do that. We've got some wins on our schedule. I'm really interested to see if we play New England like Buffalo played New England.
Right.
We're going to be in good shape. But New England's got a very interesting. Their offense is all built around those little dink and dump passes. And unfortunately, our zone defense allows them to just get open in these little pockets, and Brady's going to find them. I'm worried about the zone defense against New England. Yeah. And the unfortunate thing is there's not really a book on how to beat them. Really? I mean, the games that they've lost have been. You have to go back to the games that teams have played them well. Which so far this season, the only team who's played them even close is Buffalo, because they beat Pittsburgh 33-3, Miami 43-0, and the Jets 30-14. So we have to. The only game we can look at is this Buffalo game to sit there and give us a roadmap for somehow to try to be competitive against them, because they're going to crush. They're going to crush Washington. New England will.
Yeah, they are. That job is in jeopardy. Gruden is quickly on his way out. They put Haskins in.
How do you do?
Mediocre. I think he had 2 or 3 interceptions. So they were complaining. The talking heads were complaining that you don't throw a rookie with no preparation into the middle of the game.
3 interceptions.
Yeah. So I mean, I think one was off a tip that really wasn't his fault. The guy missed it. Another quick point going back to the Ravens game observation is that in defense a little bit of Lamar Jackson, he did have a couple of drops by people that were wide open. They turned
that happens though.
Yeah, and they were key plays. 3rd down, they make those catches. He looks better, keeps the momentum, builds his confidence. When your guy drops a pass wide open for a 1st down, that's got to be
that hurt us last year, and it certainly hurt us the year before with all the Deshaun Kaiser drop passes, and then Baker had a bunch of drop passes last year as well. And those they're drive killers. If you're in the NFL, the ball hits you in the hands, you're expected to make the catch. That's why when Ratley dropped the pass, the big long bomb from OBJ, it was disappointing. It was really disappointing. I think Higgins would have caught the ball. Rustano said yesterday he thinks that Brashard Perriman would have caught the ball. That's what Brashard Perriman does, is catch big long passes like that. So, yeah, I mean, it
shows
really
you
takes.
How the momentum can change on a play. It doesn't take much, and the momentum was when they made that 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
I had visions of it being 25-24.
Yep.
Them coming back, us trying to run out the clock or something, and they score in my end zone, and they go up 25.
Or us coming down and having and putting the game on a rookie kicker.
Right.
Right. And God, we've done that before as well with Zane and Greg Joseph, and we did that to guys. So
when Chubb made that run, I mean, I was just hoping he was going to get, after he broke it, to the 30-yard line, get us off the goal line and give us position. But then he went from 3rd gear to fourth gear, 5th gear, and he just pulled away. And
fastest touchdown of the season, faster than OBJ.
Yeah, well, he was the state 100-meter champion in his state in high school.
Huh.
I mean, he is fast. He is fast,
and he's a tank too. I mean, he's a meaty, muscular guy as opposed to the lean guy like Jarvis and OBJ. But
and he was a shot putter in high school too. He was the 100-meter. I think he set the record for high school.
Yeah.
In the 100 meters, and may have even set a record in shot putting too. I don't know.
I think Nick Chubb is going to go down as the one draft that Dorsey made he's probably going to be the most proud of. I don't think it's that difficult to draft Baker Mayfield, and where they got Pat Mahomes, I think people were definitely open to jumping up and getting him. But to get Nick Chubb in the 2nd round like that, and I think the thing that I like the most about Nick Chubb is he just seems like he's not a alpha. He's not a type A personality type guy. He's just he runs. He gets excited that he gets his touchdown. He celebrates with the team. He sits down on the bench and he just looks pretty stoic. He's like, okay, yeah, that was cool. I mean, he's not a super excitable guy, which then. So the other thing that you have to keep in the back of your mind if you are a opponent of the Browns. So looking back to let's look at the Browns schedule real quick one more time. I want to pull this up because this is a critical thing. So this is week all right, so week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We get Kareem Hunt back for the Bills,
Good.
We get Kareem Hunt back for every single division game we have for the rest of the season.
Wow, that's big.
Yeah.
And playoffs. And playoffs if
playoffs.
you make it.
And
Yeah.
playoffs. So as long as he keeps his head clear, he doesn't screw up anymore, right? Let's assume that he's just
Landry too. We get him back. Let's hope he keeps his head screwed on straight too.
So you got to assume probably Jarvis is probably going to be out for 49ers. I don't think Higgins is ready yet. I think Higgins will be back for Seattle. He'll definitely be back for the Patriots. Jarvis will be back for the Patriots. Even with concussion, he'll be back for the Patriots.
And I'm not worried about the secondary as much as I was, 2 games ago. So
no. I'm more worried about the secondary's development, the time they're missing to develop. Denzel is still young and Greedy is still very young. But if you look at it, for the Bills, the Steelers, the Dolphins, the Steelers, the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Ravens, the Bengals, we will have, up to this point, one of the, if you would ask who's the most dynamic running back in the league that's not named Saquon, it would have been Kareem Hunt. And now that Saquon's hurt, everybody's talking about Nick Chubb's the best back in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Now it's looking like you get Nick Chubb, you get Kareem Hunt. That is scary.
Even though they scored a lot of points, and I can't believe Tampa Bay put up 55 points against.
That's weird, right?
The Rams. I mean, and it was late in the fourth quarter. It was 45 to 40. So they had come back, and if they had gotten one more possession, they might have caught them and passed them. But the Tampa Bay sacked Groff, and he fumbled, and the lineman picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown, and that's how they went to 55.
Wow. Well, the other thing that's good that probably should be said was we have slowly been getting better with the penalties, been more disciplined. I think that is a good telltale sign that we're improving as a team. The defense is still playing particularly well. The defense isn't putting us in a position to lose. Right. It's really been more of the offense has been struggling in that category. And then not converting when we've had the turnovers. There's nothing more frustrating to a defense when you cause a turnover, then you go 3 and out, and the defense is tired. They got to go back on the field. So the defense is doing their job. But
T Money points out that for Denver, it was Bradley Chubb who went down, and he's out for the season.
Oh my God!
I think he tore his ACL.
Wow. So
you imagine a team that's not playing well. They had a chance to win. They went ahead with, I think, a minute and something to go in the game.
Yeah.
But they I forget who it was, the Panthers or Jacksonville. They let them come down, and they kicked the field goal with three. It was a short field goal too. Yeah. It wasn't a 55-yarder. It was like a 34-yard field goal. It was
a manageable field goal.
Yeah, it was right down the middle, and so they lost that game. But they lost Bradley Chubb out for the season for Denver.
Well, and Bradley Chubb is about as good a rookie. Well, I guess it's his second year, but he's about as good a young defensive player as there is in the NFL. So that is really unfortunate for Denver. Really unfortunate for Bradley Chubb, cousin of Nick Chubb. And so that's unfortunate. I guess the good thing for us is I guess we won't have to face Bradley Chubb, but. Right. It is still in Denver, and you're playing Mile High Stadium, so you're playing in a place where, that's always a challenging place to play.
Yeah, we were talking to somebody who was out there recently, and the altitude is really a factor out there.
Sure.
You really need time to adjust. And are we playing in Denver, or are they playing at?
Playing in Denver the second year in a row.
Okay. Well, yeah, I thought there should have been a home game for us.
Yeah.
But that is going to be a X factor for them being climatized and us not. And oxygen really does play a key role when you go into Denver. It's a game advantage. It's like a field goal or a 7-point advantage, especially if you're huffing and puffing in that fourth quarter. You're trying to get your breath, and you can't because you're at an altitude you're not used to.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they've got the oxygen pumping for that game, because it's an important game for us. It's a place that we've won We won when we were an average team, and I think we should be able to win if we're a good team.
Right.
So, well, the good thing is so far we've beaten the teams that we're supposed to beat, other than the Titans, who are just a strange team. But the Titans could also be a playoff team. Who knows? I mean, they're very hot and cold, but so we've been hot and cold as well. But the good thing is, like as we talked about earlier in the show, I'd much rather us get blown out and embarrassed game 1 and then improve from that steadily to beat the Ravens. This was the most important out of the first 4. This game yesterday was by far the most important game. As you were saying.
And to win it the way we won it. I mean, it wasn't a 6-3 with a field goal at the end or overtime or whatever.
In their place.
In their place, and with the decibels up as high as it was. And you know, the score of the Pittsburgh game is the same, 24-3, but Baltimore has got to go to Pittsburgh next week. So those two are going to go head-to-head next week.
Good. Well, I mean, if Baltimore goes 2-3 and Pittsburgh goes 2-3, and if we happen to lose to San Francisco, we're 2-3. So we have the Pittsburgh is about to get back in this thing if they can somehow figure out how to beat the Ravens.
Right.
And then if we somehow figure out a way to lose to San Francisco, Pittsburgh's back in it, and it is wide open AFC North again.
Yeah, and even if it goes, we win and Pittsburgh wins, we got to play Pittsburgh twice. And it's in their own. Their destiny is in their own hands, as it is ours. So they're not out of it. So Pittsburgh clearly got this game in hand, and it'll be interesting if they can do as well against Baltimore like we did.
Well, I just hope that we just are playing up again against. So I hope we take this and we ride this momentum into San Francisco, and we come out of there going, guys. And I have to believe that we're still going to be up for this game. I think we are really up for the Ravens game, and we showed the world who we can be. I don't think the Browns want to go to San Francisco and be like, look, see the Browns, they're
if we win this game, we'll be 3-0 on the road.
Yeah.
3-0 on the road. Imagine that.
That's amazing. And
that's got to be a record for us starting out the season. Somebody should look that up, through the stats or whatever. When was the last time we were 3-0 on the road?
Yeah.
Out of the first 5 games, that type of thing. So,
yeah, we've always
0-2 at home.
Unfortunately, and this might be just the thing with us, is that we just are not strong playing at home, which is an unfortunate thing. But we've also played tough teams at home. We played LA and we played the Titans at home. These aren't 2 pushover teams. They're very good teams. You look at where they rank offensively and defensively. They're not bad teams.
Yeah, Titans had a very good game against the Colts yesterday. I surprised. In my pick 'em, I took the Colts at home and kept looking up at the scoreboard, all the scores, and the Titans won that game handily. They were in control from start to finish.
And Mariota threw 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's hot, he's hot. Now he can have he can lay an egg the next week as well.
Yep.
But like you said, they're not a pushover team.
No, they're absolutely not. And so it's going to be, I got to tell you, this is still shaping up to be the most fun season since 2007.
Yeah. Right.
12 years in the making. Just to be, and here's the other thing. Freddie Kitchens now has 2/3 of the wins that Hugh Jackson had in 2.5 years. Freddie Kitchens has after 4 games.
Well,
that's a positive thing.
He's got a lot more talent than Hugh Jackson had, but you're right.
That's true.
It's certainly turned around. He's got the advantage of all those draft choices and all those picks, and having John Dorsey, set it up the way he did. So we got a lot to look forward to. Like you said, it's really exciting. I mean, I look forward to Sundays now a lot more than I have in the last 20 years, really. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this so far, college football I'm barely paying attention to. It is all NFL right now, 100%, and it is everything is about the Cleveland Browns, and it's been like that really since the end of last season. I mean, it's been all in since this YouTube channel started back in March March or May, one of those 2 months that starts with an M.
Right.
It has been all about that. And I think that it was March when it started. It had to be because it was pre-draft and it was pre-OBJ it was getting started right when OBJ came in. So, hey guys, we've been at it for, let me look, how long have we been at this? An hour and 9 minutes. You should probably wrap it up.
I think so.
Yeah, guys. So everybody, all the regulars and everybody who is not, and this is maybe the first time you're watching us, this has been the post game show. We did the post game show yesterday with Mike Restano. Definitely check out Mike Restano's podcast when he gets that thing live. Should be live. I'm assuming this week as soon as he gets the iTunes approval. Please check out Homage as well. Check out homage.com. They got a bunch of shirts. I'm wearing an Homage shirt underneath this. It's underneath my Lee Suggs jersey. So definitely check out Homage. Use the promo code Brownie. Save yourself 15%. Hook it up there. And yeah, guys, Dad, thank you very much for joining as always.
Thank you, and go Brownies.
Yep.
See.
Go Browns.